going on, everybody? If you saw the last video, we put these wheels on the square body, and I can't even speak. What am I saying? Okay, so then I bought these wheels, which are rally wheels off of the actual square body, because these are the OBS, but this is off of an actual square body truck. And I've always loved the style, and I always think that this style wheel looks great on this truck. So I picked up a set of these because these ones are for sale. If I didn't mention that, these are for sale. So I don't want to dismount the tires off these rims and then use these rims. I'm just selling them as a package. And I am going to find tires to put onto these ones that are bigger than these ones, like some 33s or something to fit on top of these. So let's go ahead this video, clean these up, and yeah, let's have some fun. Now, it ain't perfect, but I definitely think a tire could seal on that now with just a little bit of bead sealer. So you guys just saw me throw on some POR 15. I had it left over and I was like, I'm gonna paint the backside of these things first. So I took the POR 15 that I had left over, just painted the backside on all 4 rims, and this one is ready to be painted on the front side, and that one's ready to be painted on the front side. But it's pretty cold outside, so I need to let all of this dry for a little while, and then I'm gonna come back later on, flip these over. I'm not painting them black, by the way, and then I'm gonna flip them over, and then I'll paint the fronts and clean up the other ones. Alrighty, so a couple days have passed. I picked up some Goodyear Wrangler tires. See, they got the white letters on them. These were actually listed on Marketplace. They are brand new, but I got a smoking deal on them because somebody bought them. They ended up not using them, so I did end up getting them. They're from 2021, you can see there. So they're not up to date, but they're brand new, never been used. So these are 31 by 10.5 15s. A lot smaller than the 35s that we got, but these are still a mud and snow tire. They shouldn't be as loud as the Coopers that I had, and they are definitely bigger than what we had on the truck. And as you can see, there's no tires on the truck because we ended up selling the SS wheels. So those are gone, and now we just have these rally wheels left over, and here they are right here. The POR 15 has cured on all of the backside of the rims, so now I have to finish sanding down the front sides, and then once I'm done that, like this from here, I think I gotta sand some of that POR, I gotta sand some of that POR 15 down, and I'm gonna paint them white. Hopefully white looks good, but I also might try to mount those tires myself. Oh, you can probably hear that I'm out of breath, but I got one mounted. I didn't decide to paint it before I mounted it just because I didn't want to scratch any of this up like when it's painted. So I'm gonna pull this back off, paint it, and then put a valve stem in, air it up. She's good to go. To pull the brakes off the truck here and take a look at them. This side seems pretty decent so far. I might actually, while this is off, take a wire wheel to this thing and just shoot it with a coat of paint. The other side I know has an axle seal leak, so let's go pull that side. Yeah, I told you she had an axle seal leak. So I got the seals for it. The problem is I gotta pull it off, which it's fairly easy to do. You got one jack stand there. I put the tire on while the jack was under the diff, set it down, and then move the jack over there. So now we can drain the fluid out. So I've had this truck for a while, and I've never serviced the rear end. I saw like about a year ago it had axle seal leak, so I topped it up with fluid. I have the plug out of the front, the fill plug, so we know it's still full of fluid, which is good. But we need to take care of that axle seal leak. All right, so we did the bottom bolts so we can pry the cover back a smidge. I actually think I need to loosen the top ones a little bit, but you can tell someone's been in here before because of the red RTV. And if you know, you're not supposed to use red RTV, it should be gray RTV, but this stuff already stinks. If anybody needs to know the rear end code, it's right here. It's non-existent anymore, so that's garbage. Alrighty, we got those bolts out, so now we can crack that open and let that fluid pour out before we pull that cover off. Now we're gonna pull the cover off. I'm gonna clean it up and paint it too. So yeah. Okay, so you can see somebody used a gasket, and then they also used red RTV, I guess, to hold it in place, which is not what you do. We got some metal shavings on the little magnet here. So it's not great, but I mean, truck's got almost 500K on it. Other than that, you know, it looks pretty solid. Get some more of this fluid out of here. It's all garbage. And so basically, if you've never done this before, we're gonna rotate the rear end, and that bolt has to come out, which will allow us to take this pin out right here. And then we have to push like either axle inwards, and then there's gonna be a little like C-clip in here, which will either fall out or you just pull it out. And then that will allow the axles to come out, and then you just pop the seals out, pop a new one back in, and just reassemble how it was. Be careful, like if these spider gears do mess up on you, they're fairly easy to put back into place, but obviously you don't want that to happen, so yeah. Got grease all over my phone. Anyway, undo this bolt up here. Again. Don't know if the gears are gonna fall out, so I gotta be real careful here. Take that out. Set that down on a rag or something. You don't want to scuff that thing up, that's for sure. And I'm gonna push the axle in, and you saw that fall out. So save that. And I'm gonna do the other side. And there we go. And as this spills oil all over the ground and on me, now we can pull the axles out. I do recommend doing this with 2 hands, but basically you're just gonna slide the axle out like that. All right, we're back with the hammer. Usually I stick the hammer in like this or a pry bar and just give it a couple tugs, but this one is, there we go. And that's typically all I do to get that seal out. So these are just some generic parts store seals. They look relatively the same. Pretty much you just take this and it needs to go in even, and I wouldn't recommend just taking your hammer and going like this, boom, 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 boom. Maybe when it's done, but typically you do something like this and you start tapping it that way first. Okay, you can do it this way, you can do whatever you want. Okay, as long as this goes in and it goes in flat, you don't damage the seal. Alright, so that's what it looks like after the seal is in place, and pretty much after this step and you've done both sides, because I would recommend doing both if you can, just because even though that side might not be leaking, you never know, you don't want to reassemble all this and then it leaks and you gotta redo it all, right? So anyway, new seal, repeat what we just did on the other side, and then reassemble just the opposite of what we did. So that's pretty much it. I need to clean up the drums, paint them, the diff cover, paint it, clean up the mating surface over there for the thing to seal onto. So let's do all that. And we still have rims to paint. The second one mounted, first one's over there. Forgot I was gonna record it, so I'm gonna try to set my phone up here just to show you, or try to anyways. I'm out of breath. There's how you mount it. Sorry, I kind of turned my back to the camera. Doing it, we kind of just have to walk in a circle, use a pry bar, pry it over, make sure that bead of the tire doesn't set on the rim, push it down. I'm out of breath from doing those. But I've done low profile, I've done big sidewall like that. All the same thing pretty much. I'm trying out this new at-home powder coating, so we're gonna see how this does. Apparently, all you have to do is brush it on, and then in about 2 days, it fully cures and it hardens. So let's try this out and see how she turns out. Got them painted up white. I will fill up these shortly with air and clean off all the white walls, but I'm gonna wait till the paint cures to clean them. I'm not sure if I'll fill them up yet, but I'm going to clean up the drums now and paint them, and same with the diff cover, and tighten everything back up. All right, so I painted the diff cover while it was on. I painted the drums quickly. I just used the same brush, so there's some red mixed in with the black. I don't really care because those drums are basically destroyed, and we probably need to do rear brakes or rear drums eventually anyway. This is kind of just a temporary fix, if you want to call it that. I am still going to change out the shocks down there for not air shocks, just normal shocks. And we'll probably keep the air shocks just as, like, in case I want to put them back on. But that bushing is messed up on that other one over there. So the other thing is, I would love to, like, clean up the whole rear end and the frame and everything on this truck, but I just don't know a good paint to do so. So I've used POR 15 before, but I'd find that if you end up driving in the salt again, regardless if it's got oil spray on it or not, it's going to rust through. Now, if it's only in the summertime, I find it lasts, you know, quite a while. Like, that's after, you know, wire wheeling and all that stuff, cleaning it properly and putting a top coat on. Here's some proof for you. This had POR 15 and the top coat, and you can see the rust coming through there, and there's some rust coming through back over there. I know I need a new box anyway, but it was kind of a test area because I was like, I've never used this stuff before. So if anybody has any suggestions for good stuff that I can wire wheel my frame and coat it and it's not gonna like go away, I was thinking of honestly just using like frame wax like GM uses from the factory, just cleaning off, you know, the big scaly rust and just using like a frame wax over top of it. That might be what I end up doing, I'm not quite sure. And I also want to change up the look of this, and I want to paint this red again. When I got the truck, this was black, and so I painted it silver, but I think I want to go back to the red look. So, all right, so we got the rally wheels with the new tires. Hubcaps are not on yet. I feel like it does look a little odd just because that bottom part is gray. I think if it was red with the hubcaps, it would look pretty good, but the white just stands out quite a lot. So I don't know, I might change up to silver, but for now, that's the look of the wheels and tires. So this whole thing really turned into my grocery getter. Decided I'd be driving this thing around for the next few days as it's a lot better than it was. Fixed the alignment. I ended up changing out the rear shocks and touched up a few other things underneath the truck. And so far she's been driving pretty good. So I do have two hubcaps for this truck. I got a GMC one like the Chevy Astros had, and I have the Chevy hubcaps like these wheels would have had from the factory. So still not sure which ones I'm gonna choose, but I'll show you those quickly when we get back to the house. But yeah, doing pretty good. Next thing I want to do is eventually soundproof the interior. Alrighty, so here's the two options of hubcaps I have. We have the Astrovan style hubcap, and then we have the truck style hubcap. Obviously, this one's Chevy and this one's GMC. My truck is a Chevy, but I've always, since I've had this truck, I've ran these hubcaps because these are on my Astrovan, or it was a GMC Safari, but I've always loved this style of hubcap over these ones, but with the rally rims, I can't tell which one I like better. Try not to mind the wind noise and my terrible paint job. I'm going to sand these down and paint them. I just did it quick because it's winter time and I needed to get these on. This is the Chevy truck hubcap. The issue is I'd have to unbolt all of the nuts to put these on because they don't slide over the threads. Oh my gosh. And then we have the Astrovan ones. It's terrible outside today. So let me know what you guys think and which one looks better.